Welcome to the IPL 2025 Batting Big Ball. Essentially, we're here to look at the best options for each phase of the game. We've looked at the performance in the IPL since the last mega auction, but we also factor in things like form and age and secondary skills, because you're not just picking a player for 1 year, but multiple. And we also had to include some players who had not played a lot in the IPL. If you are following my work, we know that you are a true cricket sadist, and you need your hit every day. And sometimes, sadly, there is actually no cricket to watch. So how about if someone made a very fun game that you could use for the moments when there is no on-field action? Welcome to Hit Wicket, a strategic game of cricket which isn't about slamming your finger on the screen very fast. You work out what works best based on how cricket actually works. Dot balls lead to wickets, 1s and 2s to 4s and 6s. So there is no way you can bowl a great Yorker every ball or smash 3 6s at the beginning of your innings. This is proper cricket, yet it still has some gaming powers in there as well. Hit Wicket is about playing, but also building and managing your team. You are the batter, bowler, owner, coach, and captain. It's your dream. No ads, just cricket. So download Hit Wicket today, because this is a cricket game made for you and supported by major cricket nerds. Let's start with the power play. Ishan Kishan is 26. So if he is ever going to peak, it's going to be in the next year or two. His record in the power play in the previous cycle was actually quite good, just not outstanding. However, with him you're getting an Indian left-handed wicketkeeper. He ticks a lot of boxes, and even if he underperforms, you get a lot of flexibility. Phil Salt's consistently brisk starts with Sunil Narine were a huge reason why KKR won the last edition. And remember, he is again a wicketkeeper. KKR couldn't keep him, which might come back to haunt them. Again, he's coming into his peak age and he's averaged 30 while striking 160 in T20s in the last couple of years. His strike rate in the power play of the IPL was 28 more than expected. Now, Josh Buttler was incredible in 2022, and since then he's been a little bit more underwhelming. There were 2 match-winning hundreds last season, but outside of that, he didn't have a huge impact in the tournament. He's 34 and had a calf injury for a few months. But he's still a quality player, and you know he can make a lot of runs, plus again, there is a wicket-keeping option there. It's hard to know what to make of Jake Fraser-McGurk at the moment because he's not fully developed. He might be the only player in the IPL who can consistently score at 2 runs a ball. He might also be the only person who gets paid $1 billion to face about 12 balls per match. When he comes off though, you win games, and I don't know if there's that many batters in this auction you could say the same of. Devon Conway was really good in 2023. He's a bankable anchor. Can you be a bankable anchor? That sounds like a weird sex phrase. But he had a true average of nearly 25 in the power play. So he scores a lot more runs than normal players do, even if he does it slightly slower than you'd want. Rachin Ravindra is a weird one, a little bit like Fraser-McGurk. I'm not actually sure where to put him at the moment because he's still in development. The difference between him and Fraser-McGurk is his obvious talent. But does he understand his role in T20 cricket at the moment? Probably not, right? Last season he averaged 22 with a little bit of slogging. It was fine. I think you could make an argument he should be ahead of Devon Conway, but Conway does have the wicket-keeping option. While Rachin Ravindra is probably not going to get you many overs. And talking about someone who won't get a lot of overs, it's Will Jacks. Again, made a really good 100 last time, but RCB didn't keep him around. He has incredible power. He can be a bit of a slow starter at times. Faf du Plessis is 40, but probably playing the best T20 cricket of his life. And he was a bit of a late bloomer, so he might hang around for a little while, and he recently led St. Lucia to a title. KL Raul would have been much higher if he was still batting like the old version of him, but let's just forget that because that doesn't seemingly exist anymore. At the moment, he's just not having the same kind of impact as, say, someone like Devon Conway who plays a similar role. He's only 32, he's Indian, and he can wicket keep. So you could easily boost him up, but we are looking here at power play batters. And it's specifically in the power play where he struggles the most. So if you were looking at anchor players, he would be much higher up on your list, or even if you're just looking at overall batters, he'd be much higher up on your list. On the other hand, you have Prithvi Shaw, who shows intent, but does not stay in the middle for long enough. He's an incredible 4-hitter, but it almost feels like the IPL has moved beyond him. He's too good a player for that. Quinton de Kock had a true strike rate of 14, but an average of -3.5 in the power play in the IPL for the last couple of years. He's kind of a bog average IPL guy in the first 6 overs. He should actually be able to score a lot quicker than this, and recently in the CPL he went ballistic. Johnny Bairstow is someone who hasn't been in great form in T20 for the last couple of years, but if his leg's right, and I'm not sure it is, he could easily bounce back. Kyle Mayer's actually had a pretty good 2023 for Lucknow, but didn't get a game in the following season. He's out of favour with the West Indies as well. But because of his bowling, he's always a chance. Although for me, with everything that's gone on with Mayers recently, I'll probably move him down to the bottom here, and I'd put Ben Duckett and Gobars ahead of him. Neither are automatic success stories in the IPL, but there's no reason why both of them couldn't have very good seasons. In the middle overs, we have someone quite special. There aren't that many great IPL players available in the auction. And Rishabh Pant is certainly one of those. He's a wicket keeper, he's Indian, he can bat at 3 and 4. I suppose you could give him the captaincy, although maybe you wouldn't want to. In the previous cycle, he scored 581 runs from overs 7 to 16 at a true average and true strike rate of 7 and 4. So he's a plus and plus whether it comes to scoring or the speed. And here's the thing, I still don't think we've seen the best of him as an IPL player yet. I think there was a period where he tried to play like an anchor, and there was probably another period where he tried to whack it everywhere. Somewhere in between that, or even just going back to the whack it everywhere style, is probably the best for him. Of course, he's going to cost you an awful lot of money. Shreyas Iyer was KKR's captain when they won the title. It is an absolutely extraordinary league that they have not been able to keep that player. I also liked what he did there. He moved himself around the order, and at times he really came in and tried to give it a whack. He's a brilliant player of spin with some leadership to him. It'd be interesting to see how much he goes for. I saw one mock auction where it was 4.4 crores. If he was available for anywhere near that amount, I would buy him in a heartbeat. Glenn Maxwell's run for RCB from 2021 to 23 was incredible, but he didn't do it in 2024, and he is going to be the sort of player who's not always consistent. I'm not sure his athleticism is still where it used to be. In fact, I know it's not because he said it isn't. And I think he's always a much better player if there's support around him for the batting. You don't want him to be on his own. We've included Butler here just because he's a lot better in the middle these days than he has been in the power play. He's begun his innings a little bit slower of recent times. And that also means he could go back towards the old sort of role that he used to have if you needed that. And Devon Conway's another person who steps up massively in the middle. I think you'd probably keep him as an open because of what he does in the power play, but he's got a true strike rate of over 30 in the middle overs. With Stoinis and Livingston, you get a little bit of value addition with the ball, although, not a lot, but certainly both have sixth bowler vibes. Stoinis has had to do a lot of rebuilding, but still had a true strike rate of 13, while Livingston was 22 quicker than what we would have expected. We could have put Harry Brook higher, but he's only played in one season and then he pulled out. And I still have concerns against him against spin, whereas you look at someone like Stoinis who has overcome some of those issues. But if you're looking for an overseas player with a very high ceiling, you would obviously take Brook over Stoinis or Livingston. But if you're talking short term, you might go one of them. A lot of people who've come here will know that I'm a big Rahul Tripathi fan. And he's very good in the middle overs. He's got a plus 16 strike rate and also a plus 16 on true average. But he is another player that needs to get set in that power play. Nitesh Rana over the last couple of years has really improved his strike rate. Unfortunately, he's given some of that back on average, but he is showing intent and seems to now really want to whack the spinners. His teammate Venki started as an opener but performed very well at number 3, but I actually see him at his absolute best of floating around and using him where you want to. The one thing I like about him, he'll do everything wholehearted. He isn't the most talented, but he is a little bit more flexible than other players and certainly plays for the team. Lomro has shown some promise, especially against spin, but he's only had limited opportunities. Faf du Plessis and Quinton de Kock are both top order players. I don't think anyone's going to be getting them for their middle order, but their records there are quite good. But David Miller is a finisher, but he does actually take a little bit of time to get himself going. Of course, once he gets going, it's almost impossible to stop him. Of the people left on the board, Livingston is probably the person who is the best in the death overs. And I've said this before, he's one of the batters most likely to just hit 3 sixes on the bounce. Once he's in and set, his ability to clear the ropes is incredible. He's so strong. No one is picking Maxwell for this role. You're going to have him early on. He's just too much money for a person to be batting down the order. Stoinis, on the other hand, could bat down the order and probably is better suited to that. It's just that because of the flexibility he's given teams and the poor batting lineups he's sometimes been in, he's gone in way too early. I think with Stoinis, you either open him or you use him at 5 or 6. Tim David's career is very weird, but he is a specialist late order batter that is just there to hit pace. He is a brilliant 6-hitter, but because he doesn't give you much or anything with the ball, and also, while he's a very good athlete, he drops an awful lot of catches. He's not always a plus in the field either. But in the right team that has a slot for this person, he's very good. I'm not sure you want to pay him a lot of money because I'm not sure how many games he's going to play for most sides. We've already talked enough about Miller, Pant, and Butler. But what about Ashutosh? He's 26 years old and he's got 189 runs with a strike rate of 167. I think there's a very good chance he gets right to matched. But I really like Ashutosh, and I know he hasn't played a lot of cricket or certainly faced a lot of balls, but I'm going to put him higher on this list. Abdul Samad is also someone who hasn't faced a lot of balls, but we've seen him go after Jasprit Bumrah or Anrich Nortje. That was a while ago, but he has a true strike rate of 19 and is certainly a good player. Him and Jitesh Sharma I'm a little bit more unsure about overall, but they're both good bets. It'll be interesting to see if any teams take a punt on Sikandar Raza at the moment. I actually think he's a much better bench player, like being your 8th best overseas player, and then just using him when the game situation arrives. I don't think you want to pump a lot of money into him, especially at his age. But the reason we have him ahead of Rodman Powell is he's a better player of spin, and also he's a much better bowling option. Rodman Powell in the IPL needs to develop in order to be able to bat at 4 and 5 to be a very high value player. If not, he's a little bit more like a Tim David, but while he's a brilliant hitter, he just takes a lot longer to get there. There's also a couple of interesting outliers on this chart, like Krunal Pandit and Shreyas Iyer. Krunal doesn't get out, but also scores very slow at the depth, and Shreyas has a true strike rate of nearly 40, but it's only from a small sample size of 94 runs. But while he's been doing that, he's been getting out a lot more than expected. But with the batting, there's a few other things that we wanted to look at as well. Like how quickly a batter starts and how they go against various bowling types. So a few years ago when I was still working for Cricinfo, I started talking about first 5 and first 10 strike rates. And we've now normalized them for whatever period of the game you come in for. No one will be shocked to know that Jake Fraser-McGurk is comfortably the quickest of all the batters on this list, scoring at nearly a run a ball more than par in his first 10. Salt, Riley Rossouw and Maxwell also get started very quickly, while Jitesh Sharma and Abdul Samad have the best numbers amongst the Indian batters. KL Rahul, again, no one is going to be surprised at this, is right at the other end of this. But maybe if he's in a better situation, he'll be able to bat more freely than this. If we just look at the batters versus pace, McGurk has the highest true strike rate. Again, no one's surprised at that, but Livingston's not that far behind. What makes it more fascinating is that their true averages are also amongst the best. Salt's numbers are also incredible. But Miller has a true average of 16, which is the highest of all the batters on this chart. Conway and Tim David are also around that mark, and they have true strike rates of 7 and 25 respectively. And of course, one's an anchor and one's a hitter, so that makes sense. Maxwell and Bairstow also slightly under par in terms of average, but their true strike rates are close to 20. Marsh is a very good scorer, scoring at a strike rate of 26 more than expected. We also looked at just over 145 kilometers. And remember, there actually aren't that many deliveries, so this can vary a little bit. But Faf has faced 97 deliveries over 140 in the last 3 years and got out to it just once while striking at 185. De Kock also has only 1 dismissal on 56 balls with a strike rate of 196. And Salt scored at over 2 runs a ball after facing 41 deliveries. You've got Stoinis and Miller as well, who are very good against that. Versus spin, Shaw scores quicker against spin bowling than anyone else, but also gets out more often than most people. KL Rahul is the other outlier, with a true average of nearly 50. However, he doesn't score quicker than par. Conway, Tripathi, Warner and Miller also perform well, but Josh Butler has the best stats against the spinning ball. And he's specifically great when the ball is spinning in, with the second best strike rate after Maxwell. But Maxwell's average takes a big dip. Markram also has a high average at a good scoring rate, while Warner, Venki, Conway and Kishan also do well. When the balls are spinning away, Longmore is the standout batter here. Tripathi and Butler also have strike rates in 140 while averaging over 150 against those balls. Conway scores a bit quicker against them and has the second best average after Rahul, who has a strike rate of under 120. Maxwell, again, and Mayers have high strike rates, but they also get out a fair bit. And if we look at strike rates spinning in versus away, from the limited sample size we have, McGurk smashes both in and away. I'm not sure he really notices, he just swings. Gurbaz is incredible against the ball spinning in, but very slow when it's going away from him. And as we said before, Longmore is one of those rare players who prefers it spinning away. But when it's coming back into him, he feels a little bit cramped. So that's it. That's what we have found of the batters available on our IPL big boards. Obviously, players could move around and different teams will want different skill sets because of who they already have and also the conditions at home. But we've tried to rank these players as fairly as possible. But please put your comments below where you would rank any of these players as well. But remember to subscribe and like this. We obviously cover the IPL in good depth, more so during the season. We're trying to do it at the moment, but there is a test match on. But mostly just remember to follow us here for more videos and also tell your mum about us. I have a book out with Abhishek Mukherjee and it is called Overthrowing Cricket's Empire. And it's about the stories of how each team beat England for the first time. We go all the way back to the demon Fred Spofforth getting annoyed at W.G. Grace for acting a little bit like Alex Carey. And then we come all the way to present times with Rashid Khan's England's redemption. We cover every single team to beat England in a major international, but we also talk about the incredible stories, like the barefoot basher from Fiji that almost played for New Zealand. In fact, this book is full of tales like that, like how Pakistan lost a top batter after he was on the run from an angry husband of a movie star he was having an affair with, and also how one future captain of his nation realised he might have to go out and bat at Lords and that he didn't own his own pads. Cricket was used as a tool by the Empire, but what happens when those nations grow up and get good at it? Find Overthrowing Cricket's Empire on Amazon today.